To introduce our guest speaker for today, Sri Pattabiraman Subramanian ji, whom we lovingly call PS. PS is one of the pillars of our DC Satsang group. He's a devoted volunteer whose energy, humility, and commitment have uplifted our entire community. He leads our Ramana Bhajans Satsangs with deep devotion and ensures that everyone, especially our younger members, feel part of the Satsang family. As a mentor, he patiently guides many of them in speaking, presenting, and emceeing, helping them grow in confidence and devotion for Bhagavan. PS is also a gifted lyricist and composer, having written many soulful songs in praise of Sri Bhagavan that beautifully express Karuna Rasa and Bhakti. Some of these songs are even sung at Sri Ramana Ashramam. He also initiated summer camps to share Bhagavan's teachings with the younger generation. Thank you, PSG. Supporting him in this journey is his wife, Uma PSG, a talented singer and a true partner in Seva, whose music and calming presence bring warmth to all our gatherings. Together, they continue to inspire every member of our Satsang family. With deep reverence and joy, I now invite PSG to say a few words.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I have it done. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Dear fellow travelers on the path of Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi, first of all, my Namaskarams to all of you for assembling here to celebrate the 146th Jayanti day of Bhagavan. Upfront, let me make a statement. If I stated anything incorrectly or didn't agree with your understanding, please pardon me. I am expressing whatever I have understood through my own experience in my journey. When Bhaskar approached me to give a talk on Bhagavan and his teachings applicability to modern world, my initial response was to suggest someone else, as I am just a sadhaka or a practitioner, to get a glimpse of that self just like all of you. Also, my general feelings is religion and spiritual experience are more personal, and hence I was hesitating to share even my experience. But eventually I told him I can narrate how Bhagavan pulled me into his fold, how I approached Bhagavan and his teachings, and how Bhagavan kept me in his path throughout my journey. The next challenge was what title should I give? My experiences with Bhagavan's teachings? That didn't somehow sound correct to me. As Bhagavan always does with me, the next morning he gave me this simple title, Bhagavan and I, which was simple and as well as direct. As you all know, I, within quotes, played a great role in Bhagavan's teachings right from his note he left for his brother while leaving Madurai to arrive at Arunachala, Tiruvannamalai. His note to his brother is quoted here verbatim. I have set out in quest of my father in accordance with his command. This has only embarked on a virtuous enterprise. Therefore, no one need grieve over this act, and no money need to be spent in such of this. Your college fee has not been paid. here with rupees 2 and no signature. See how he started with I and referred to himself in the next sentence as this, and finally no signature with the I dissolved completely. This is what we are all trying to attain or achieve. What is this? What is the first thing that comes to your mind whenever we talk about Bhagavan's teaching? Who am I? Right? So that, because that is the way he approached the whole issue of death when he developed a sudden fear about death. Okay, before, let me share now how Bhagavan brought me into his fold. For this, first I must explain my state of mind before coming to Bhagavan. So from my younger days, I will just give a brief journey from that period. I would call myself as a village and small town boy who did my schooling in many places within Tamil Nadu due to my father's frequent transfers in the government job. I did my schooling in Kanchipuram in early 70s. It's a temple town where the famous Kamakshamman temple and Kanchi Shankaramat are also located. I was like a regular Hindu boy, serious about studies while being playful in sports. My parents took me to temples, concerts in temples, upanyasams in temples, and Tamil movies also for entertainment. My parents also took me to Kanchi Shankaramat few times, and I was blessed to have the darshan of the great Saint Mahaperiva, His Holiness Jayendra Saraswati Swamigal and His Holiness Vijayendra Saraswati Swamigal. I developed a taste for listening to Carnatic music and upanyasams. In those days, it was given by Swamis like Kripananda Variyar and Pulavar Kiran, those type of people. And I liked movie songs with more Carnatic bass also. Attending those upanyasam also made me interested in Tamil literature more, even though I am not formally educated in Tamil literature. I read many Tamil novels as well as poetry on my own in later years. For college studies, I went to Tiruchirappalli, also called Trichy, which is also a temple town, where Sri Rangam, the Bhuloga, Vaikuntham is also located. So I was actually studying there both physics and the engineering seriously, which developed my scientific curiosity with everything. I also worked in the Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, Trichy, before moving to USA much later. So during that period, I have attended few lectures on Bhagavad Gita by Swami Chinmayananda in Trichy town, but that is the amount of spiritual connection that I had. I am giving you all these details quickly to tell you about the state of mind I was in those days. While I was pious in the traditional sense of the word, I always had my questions about how can you be sure that Vedas are correct. After all, it was collected and written in very old times. And we know history is always written by the victor, as Churchill says. There is no guarantee that it may be properly written or carried through many generations. Added to that, the same Vedas are interpreted differently by different acharyas to convince their philosophy is the correct one. So there was no one to answer me on those questions, and I didn't seriously pursue those aspects either. It was just those things were always there in the back of my mind. Is there anyone lived in recent times? That's what was my question. Who is scrutinized by everyone and could prove the Vedas correct by living that kind of life? Let us park these questions and revisit that later. Now let us move forward to 1997 December. That time I have already moved to Washington, D.C. area. And that was the year I lost my father in August. I was there with him as we were visiting our parents during summer holidays of the children. His demise affected me a lot. Hence, we were not in any great mood to go on any vacation during Christmas holidays. One of the older Indian couples, Maragadam, we fondly call them as Maragadam Mami and Chandrasekhar Mama. They were living nearby our house. They became our friends during that period. They gave us a videotape. So for the youngsters here, those days, yes, videos were in tapes, not in cloud like what you have. So to watch a very old Tamil movie by the name Nandanar. This movie is about a Shiva's devotee, one of the 63 Nayanmars, that's what they call in Tamil Nadu, the 63 devotees of Lord Shiva. He is one among them. So the story goes like this. He wanted to visit Chidambaram to have a darshan of Lord Nataraja. He always wanted to do that, but his work, which was farming, did not allow him to really go to Chidambaram because his master was, or the landlord was giving him a lot of work and he could never finish it. So one fine day, Lord Shiva was kind enough to finish all the work for him so that he could actually visit Lord Nataraja. So this is how the story goes. And once the movie was finished, we didn't stop the video player. And letting the tape continue to play for a few more minutes before we were about to switch off. That is when the Sage of Arunachala, a production by Arunachala Ashrama of New York, started playing. Somehow I decided to watch that video to see what it is about. Then we saw Ramana Maharshi's story from Tiruchuri to Arunachala, showing details about each place and retracing of the path of Bhagavan, as well as how he decided to go to Arunachala from Madurai. My first reaction was one, how could a person like this exist in this world? Then I noticed his face. He was very familiar to me because I have seen him. I have seen his photo somewhere else. So there was a bakery by name Ramana Bakery in Trichy town. So where we used to go for getting some pure vegetarian bakery products. So I have seen his picture there, but I thought that he was the owner of that, owner of the bakery, something like that. The thing is, it never occurred to me. So even during my engineering college days, I have visited my parents who were living in Vellore at that time. I used to go by train or by bus, always crossing through Annamalai, but never heard of Ramana Ashramam or Ramana Maharshi, so I used to actually be traveling like that. Well, that's how Bhagavan first came into my life. Now, if I recall that moment, I could relate to Aksharamanamalai verses. Sindithu Arulpada Chilandi Bol Katti Chirayittundanai Arunachala. So, that is the verse that I could actually kind of relate to myself. So, both Uma and my wife decided, my wife and I decided, sorry. Sorry about it. That we should learn more about Bhagavan, but I didn't. follow through that much, as I was working 15 hours a day on an average during those days. But Uma made it a point to research and find out more about Bhagavan and Arunachala Ashrama, despite being busy, and she kept me also informed about that. Thus, Uma is the catalyst behind me coming into Bhagavan's fold. Uma by nature is more a bhakta than me. I, with all my questions behind me, will not accept anything as is. Hence, I used to ask her many questions on her findings. She told me that I must read more of Devaraja Mudaliar's day by day, because he was, like you, asking a lot of questions. By this time, I have already read Arthur Ashbourne's Ramana Maharshi's Path of Self-Knowledge, as well as Devatin Kural, 6 volumes of collected works by Sri Ra Ganapati on Mahaperiyava's lectures on Advaita and various aspects of Vedic and Vedantic lessons. By the way, these books were bought and used by my father, which I brought to USA for my own reading and understanding after his death. Along with that, I also inherited Nalayira Divya Prabandham by 12 Alvars, primary bhaktas of Lord Vishnu, and Tirumular, Tirumandaram, etc. I have read some portions of Prabandham and Tirumandaram too. We visited Arunachala Ashrama and met Dennis, probably around 2000. Also, we bought some books from Arunachala Ashrama. Dennis also told us about summer camp for children in Nova Scotia. So we went on a Canadian East Coast road trip with children, and finished with summer camp in Nova Scotia. There we met Mamta and Prakash in the summer camp. They told us they are from Virginia and are conducting satsangs in DC metro area. We started attending them from 2000 onwards, as and when we had time. Subsequently, Dr. Anand and Dr. Nitya moved to Maryland area and started attending the satsangs. Dr. Anand's father, Sri Sundaram Mama, and mother, Srimati Sushila Mami, also visited them. They have also attended the satsangs in DC. We started going to Ramanashram during summer holidays. When we visited India, in one of the occasions, I wrote on the back of an envelope reflecting my status. Nerana un padayinil, தீராத தாகம் கொள்ள கூரான உள்நோக்குடன் சீராக்கி வைப்பாய் எம்மை ரமணா. What is the meaning of that? With unquenchable thirst and sharp inner focused mind to dwell in your direct path, make me better prepared, Ramana. Later, in one of the satsangs, which was attended by Sushila Mami also, I wrote and sung probably my first song on Bhagavan in the tune of Oruthi Maganai Pirandu. One of the verses from Andal's Tirupavai, which is sung in Tamil Nadu throughout the month of Margazhi, between December 16 and January 14. So the song goes like this, just to give you a glimpse of that. Madurai Tirunagaril Todangi Tiru Annamalai Kshetrathil Mudinda Payanam. That's how it goes. So you can now correlate how my listening to Carnatic music and self-developed knowledge on Tamil and listening to movie music helped me connect with Bhagavan in my own ways. I was not formally trained in Carnatic music, but listened to Carnatic music throughout my life from my mother's and sisters and her sisters' songs, and my sister's classes on Carnatic music, and subsequently to my wife practicing Carnatic music at home. She was taught by many teachers. Narayana Iyengar, who was a student of Ariyakudi Ramana Jayanthi. That was before marriage. Then she was also taught by Sri Venkataraman in Trichy. And then once we came to US, she was taught by Sri D.K. Nagarajan Mama. brother of Srimati D.K. Pattammal in Maryland, US. During the early 2000s, Uma introduced me to the pravachanams of Nuchur Sri Venkataraman in MP3 titles in Malayalam. Even though I could understand his Palakkad Malayalam to some extent, I was wondering if I can listen to his Tamil pravachanams. Luckily, he started doing his pravachanams in Tamil also. Nuchur Swami became my constant companion in my morning walks. Slowly, his pravachanams started replacing my listening, the playlist in my replacing Carnatic music while driving to work without my knowledge. The beauty of his pravachanams is that he always brought Bhagavan's teachings on any topic that he talks about, whether it is on Srimad Bhagavatam, Adi Shankara Vijayam, Upanishads, Dakshinamurti Stotram, Arunagirinadar, Avudayakal, etc. Based on my little experience, he was the first one to tell Srimad Bhagavatam with Advaitic connections. His pravachanams are not like the traditional storytelling or like a class reciting the verses and their meaning and commentary. It is a free-flowing lecture with all of them mixed with Bhagavan's relevant teachings to the subject peppered all over. I was attracted by that style and listened to it more. Even when I listened to it repeatedly, I was never bored as I felt better with my understanding of Bhagavan's teachings with every time. In a way, he brought me closer to Bhagavan and made me stay there even in difficult times. He also introduced me to Swami Vivekananda, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Nisargadatta Maharaj, and Sri Ramana Tirthar, Thai Manavar, etc. I sincerely realized the meaning of the Tirukural, Selvathul Selvam, Sevichelvam, Achelvam, Selvathul Illam Thalai. Meaning that the wealth among wealth is the wealth of knowledge gained through listening, as it is the head of all other wealth. All my reading of books and listening to pravachanams answered my question on whether there was a person in recent times who was accessible to everyone at any time, scrutinized by everyone, and proved the Mahavakyas of Vedas true. Bhagavan was one such person. Bhagavan was accessible to everyone 24 hours a day, and he was scrutinized by all kinds of scholars, swamis, and as well as people from other religions. He was given the name Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi by none other than a great scholar and Acharya, Kavyakanta Ganapati Muni. His teachings were entirely based on his experience and not on any bookish knowledge. But later, when he was read to by others, books on Vedas and other religious scripts, he was able to correlate what he experienced is what many others were striving to experience through the practices of Vedic knowledge or other similar works. When a devotee asked him if his teachings are different from Vedas or other Advaitic scholars before him, Bhagavan responded by saying that it is not different but more direct as I experienced it that way. So Bhagavan made me accept Vedas and other spiritual works. I could relate to what Manikavachagar said when he responded to the Brahmins of Chidambaram when they questioned him about the meaning of what is the meaning of his work Tiruvachagam, and Manikavachagar pointed to Lord Nataraja, the meaning of this is him. So that's what I actually felt. Similarly, I felt the meaning of Vedas is Bhagavan. Satyamangalam Venkata Narayana also calls Bhagavan as Vedame Uruvanam in his Ramana Sadguru, which is recited in every satsang in DC Ramana Center. I also recall an incident in Ramanashramam during Bhagavan's days when Saraswati Puja was celebrated during Navaratri. So that time the books were kept in front of Goddess Saraswati and do puja to them. This was done in Ramanashram too. Bhagavan was sitting next to the books. When Muruganar saw this, he has composed a song, I don't recall now, giving roughly the meaning as follows. It is like taking the juice of sugar cane and making an idol, that is Bhagavan, and leaving the remnants, that is the sakkai, next to that, referring to the books. So he was saying, simply stated, he described Bhagavan as the essence of all books. That's exactly the meaning of that. Even though I have listened to Nuchur Swami through MP3 recordings, I never took interest in even looking for his videos on the internet to see how he looked like. This was in 2000s, maybe 2000 to 2010 or something like that. At that time, I was of the mind that we should not keep even Bhagavan's picture and keep only his teachings. As against that, Uma liked to keep the pictures of Bhagavan in almost every room of the house. Hence, I didn't express anything and left it as it didn't bother me that much. I realized that I have not seen Nuchu's picture or video only when my uncle told me that he is very young. Later, when I read about Sri Muruganar and other devotees, I understood how Bhagavan's very presence was sufficient for them to get the self-knowledge. Even ever questioning Devaraja Mudaliyar was given that experience by a simple glance by Bhagavan. Listening to Nuchu's Pravachanam and reading books relating to Bhagavan slowly and steadily moving my mind towards Bhagavan. In those years from early 2000s to 2020, I attended satsangs but always kept to myself as I felt as and when I get time I should focus on practicing Atma Vicharam and stay away from getting involved in anything that pulls me from my real focus. Of course, it was with some success and with challenges of life keep coming at me, so not completely successful. Daily listening to pravachanams on Bhagavan's teachings certainly acted as my sadhana, which continued to keep me in the path. Some of the interesting teachings that I learned or connected with during this period, 2000 to 2020, Summa Iru. Be still. Does it lead to laziness? This question comes to everyone initially. Bhagavan said Sumairu means to keep focusing on the source of the I thought. It takes much more effort as you have to continuously get rid of any other thoughts arising. Our normal work will take only just a part of this attention and requires frequent breaks in between. Hence, Summa Iruttal takes much more energy than normal work. I'll just mention a couple of incidents in Ramanashramam in which Bhagavan emphasized the need for not identifying yourself with body. First incident, devotee. Bhagavan, everyone is scolding me for anything I do. What should I do? Bhagavan, you should also join them in scolding yourself. You are not this body, and hence you should thank them for helping you to understand that. Another incident, this incident occurred when the devotees came to know that some of the jealous sadhus in Tiruvannamalai had spit on Bhagavan's face when they realized Bhagavan would not listen to them. Devotees, we came to know those jealous sadhus spit on your face when you were living on the mountain. What did you do when they did that? Bhagavan, I just wiped it off my face. Has this body not been spit many times through different births? That was his question. So, despite all those things, when Bhagavan attained Mahanirvana, lot of his devotees left Tiruvannamalai and went around the different kshetras and things like that because they were not able to take that. So, but the thing is, after that, they realized the Bhagavan is still there in Tiruvannamalai. So they came back. So, in fact, Muruganar, one of his ardent devotee, who also left Tiruvannamalai and went around, came back, and then when he said that, Pambaram Sutrade Nikartakatan, meaning the top is actually rotating to just stay still. So similar to that, lots of devotees left and then they came back. So these are the things that I liked most in this one. And similarly, Bhagavan never actually questioned the orders put by the ashramam. So in one such incident, what happened is during the Kartikeya Deepam time, Bhagavan normally was sitting in his sofa, and there was a kind of a rail put in front of him so that people can keep on seeing. I mean, they can come and then take his darshan and then go. So there are a lot of people during those days. They were taking a dip in each one of the ponds or the tanks that are there, and they were coming with the water and all the dirty clothes and things like that. They came and they were going in front of Bhagavan, and then sometimes they were also touching him. So to avoid that, the ashram administration at the time, they have decided to kind of put that rail a little bit farther away from Bhagavan. But they cannot do it when Bhagavan is there, so they were waiting for him to go for his walk. So at that time, they told his attendant at the time, I think it was Krishna Swami, so they told him to keep that rails feet away from where it was. So when he was doing that, Bhagavan came back and then he saw that and he asked him, what are you doing? So we are doing this in order to kind of protect Bhagavan. Then he told Krishna Swami, okay, you have done what they have told. So now can you do what I am telling you also? So he asked the sofa to be really moved by a feet so that it is placed in the same place, so that he didn't actually violate what the administration said, but at the same time he also kind of achieved and he registered his protest in his own way. So that was very one of those interesting things that I felt. Then comes the pandemic. During the pandemic, we were unable to have in-person satsangs. This is the time we started online Zoom satsangs. But it required certain pre-planning of the program, especially when all can't chant together Aksharamanamalai or other works like Upadesha Saram, etc. I started getting involved in doing the planning and assignment of verses to devotees ahead of time so that everyone participates in the satsang. Such online satsangs were certainly a morale booster for many of the devotees during that time. As part of the program, I normally ask one of the devotees to present Bhagavan's picture in their home along with chanting of the aarathi songs Nakarmana and Valga Swayam Prakasha. I was keeping the program from each satsang so that I can rotate whose house is shown for aarathi and then who has to sing all these verses. I was keeping when I assigned this to Bhaskar, that's where he comes. When his turn came, he told me that he didn't know how to chant the aarathi songs. So that's the first time it hit me that some of the devotees may not know to chant some of the satsang songs. For that particular satsang, I have managed the program by assigning the audio to another devotee and video to Bhaskar and family. It also made me ask Bhaskar if he would like to learn to chant. He was more than happy to say yes to that, and he asked me, can we extend it to others who are interested? I gave my consent for the same. Thus came the Thursday online practice sessions. I took that as a guidance from Bhagavans to keep me more involved in the satsangs, especially during COVID time as we were all stuck in our places. I started producing documents to show the verses in both English transliteration and Tamil, along with the meaning in English. I also provided them with my audio of how to chant or sing. This became the format for our practice sessions. Initially, many children also joined along with their parents to learn them and chant. This has become a regular fare every Thursday, unless I became sick or busy, otherwise or traveling. This group has learned to chant all satsang chants as well as bhajans bhajans of various sorts. Sangeeta ji's Bhaje Ramana Namam Volume 1 songs is one of the major thing that we learnt together. Slowly I expanded it to other chants such as Guru Pataga Stotram, Prapatyashtakam, Dakshinamurti Stotram, as well as songs and bhajans which I have heard or liked in my past. After a huge gap of not writing any song on Bhagavan, after my initial song, I wrote a song for Bhagavan's Jayanthi in 2022. From then onwards, Bhagavan has periodically used me as his instrument to write some song or other for the 100-year celebration, and then I also wrote on the Ramana. Some of them are based on some of the works by others, like in the Garuda Gamana Stava by Bharadidita Swamigal, or Ramana. Last time we sang that the Krishna Bhajan, and then the Varuvaye Arune Ramana, which is also written in the tune of Vanamali Vasudeva. So you will not believe if I say for each of these songs, the first line is given by Bhagavan himself. That's how I feel, because the first line comes to my mind in the early morning when I get up from my sleep. Then I actually expand on that. Before concluding, I would like to state Bhagavan's response to his mother in Pavadakundru is one of my guiding teaching. The ordainer controls the fate of souls in accordance with their past deeds. Prarabdha karma. Whatever is destined not to happen will not happen. Try as you may, whatever is destined to happen will happen. Do what you may to prevent. This is certain. The best course, therefore, is to remain silent. This is one of the places where Bhagavan used the word certain. So that's why it was more appealing to me. Immediately, the questions will also arise in our mind. If everything is predestined by our prarabdha karma, don't we have any free will? Bhagavan's response on those topics is summarized here. True free will lies in the choice not to identify with the body or its actions, thereby transcending the results, karma. Apparent freedom of choice belongs to the ego, but by realizing the self, pure consciousness, as the source of both destiny and will, one becomes free from the bondage of action and reaction, abiding as the witness. He emphasized directing the limited free will towards self-knowledge to find the ultimate freedom beyond both. So other things that I liked a lot, and which is primarily because I like to think that I cannot remember everything that I read and or everything I listen to and things like that. I need to have some things which are simple and at the same time which is appealing to me, as well as it actually gives me the right direction and meaning. So that means there are one-liners or the punch dialogues, right? So you may remember in some of the English movies I'm quoting, but all the Tamil movie guys, what are the punch dialogues. So in English movies, if you look at the movie like Matrix, Lawrence Fishburne saying to Keanu Reeves, I can only show you the door. You are the one who has to walk through. So that was when he was actually explaining about the Matrix and then how to get into that. Or in Jurassic Park, when Jeff Goldblum saying, life finds a way. When they thought that, all the dinosaurs will not be procreating because they have produced only the female dinosaurs. But life finds a way. That is what is his quote. These are all kind of very, attractive, and then it stays with you in your mind very easily. That is, just to illustrate that I said that. But similar to above one-liners, Bhagavan's one-liners are always easy to remember and use. Some of the one-liner I always remember and use are Vanda Velai Par. Remember that work you came here for and focus on that, meaning to do self-inquiry whenever the world is trying to pull you out. In Aksharamanamalai, also Bhagavan has recited it, reiterated it as a question and response mode with Arunachala. So when he asked Arunachala, Tane Tane Tattvam Idane Tane Katuvai Arunachala, Arunachala responds, Tirumbi Aham Tanai Dinam Ahak Kanpar Teriyum Endane Yen Arunachala. In this verse, Bhagavan uses Yen Arunachala, meaning that my Arunachala. That's one of the very, it was very attractive to me when I actually listened to this. Unnishtam Yennishtam is what Bhagavan said when he first went into the temple of Arunachaleshwarar. So whatever is your will is my will. This is the complete surrender concept. Should we leave all our... So other thing is Paul Brendan's question to Bhagavan, should we leave all our possessions to attain self-realization? Bhagavan's response is, the possessor too. So these are the kind of things that you will be able to remember very well and connect to also. So, and he has actually said a lot of other things also, but I will just restrain myself with this one. And in conclusion, I would like to quote one interesting response from Bhagavan to a family man. One family man was asking Bhagavan, how does a family man who needs to take care of family matters can do Atma Vicharam even though he sincerely wants to practice Atma Vicharam? He added, we are family men who have to live in this world with money only. In that case, how can we practice Atma Vicharam? Bhagavan, again his one-liner, be like a cashier in a bank. That was a brilliant response. Even though the cashier handles millions every day, he neither thinks it is his nor thinks it is not his. He is just doing his job without thinking either way. So with that, I would like to tell you guys, remember, if Bhagavan can pull someone like me, he will certainly do the same to all of you. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Minute, Barbara.